Now I realize that there are other people in my company that do it a lot better than I can, right, in certain things, and they enjoy doing the things that I hate doing.
The content creation thing, it's like it starts for me as completely just practical. Practical because one, I get to be around people that I want to be like, I get to learn, and then I get to network with people that could refer my business. Hey, how's it going? It's Tim Brown, and this is the Hook Better Leads podcast. And today I have John Franco of Greentek Roofing and Solar, and we're talking about going from a micromanager to a numbers-oriented leader, because everyone says people can't do it like them, right? That's
Yeah.
the biggest problem I see for roofers a lot of times is that's what they say, that no one does it like me. No one does it like me, and they still don't do it like us, do
No,
they,
they do
John?
not. No, and that's okay. That's okay.
That's okay. So, give me a little background about you, though. 1 or 2 minutes just on where you guys
Yeah,
come
yeah.
from
So
and where you're
started
going.
out in 2017, right before Hurricane Irma. Hurricane Irma was kind of the ultimate storm that came through Florida at the time, which excelled Greentek, and we're 7 years in now, running strong, doing over 13 million a year, which is very reputable here in the Bay Area, Tampa area. So yeah, so we run a reputable roofing company and solar. So yeah, that's where we're at today.
And where do you think you're going? What is the dream here? We going to 20 million, or
So I like
what do you want to
small
make?
increments. So I did the whole 10 to 15 at one time where it was like a huge, acceleration, and there's always that brick wall, right, where it grew too fast. So my goal now is to just stay at that 20% increase. So this year we're going to go for 15, the following year another 20%. And I think that slow growth allows us to expand the way we want to, and I have an opportunity to control the processes and still be able to give the quality of work to our customers. Whereas I know what it's like jumping fast, too fast, and the customers don't get the same quality of work, and I don't like that.
Hmm, great point. Um, so we're talking about essentially all the components of turning from a micromanager into a numbers oriented leader. Can you give me a situation that was like painful that led to this
Sure.
transformation?
So yeah, so obviously, most if you don't know what a micromanager is, it's somebody that likes to kind of control every situation. That you're not going to be able to do it the way I do it, even though it may get done a certain way, but it just wasn't the way I wanted it done, right? And so I had a very obsessive behavior in that. So I worked many 60, 70 hours as a business owner to ensure that the processes were done the way I wanted to, that the service that we committed to our customers were done the way I wanted to, from the signing them up to the beginning of the job to building the job to collections, all that. And it put a lot of heartache because being a micromanager and kind of being so much involved in the company that didn't really allow a lot of relationship building with my wife, my family. I put them on the back burner. And my wife used to always call herself, the mistress. That Greentek was the wife, and she was the mistress. Of this. That's how she felt for a long time. And she mentioned it to me, but of course, just as we're men, we provide, right? We provide, protect. So I was doing my job, right? I provide, I protect, the house. I make sure she's doing good. The kids are well taken care of. And then at one point in time in my life, when hers, came a dark. I never experienced this, but her mother got really ill. She had to live with her mom, take care of her mom. Her mom was on hospice. It was a time where she needed my support, my emotional support, right? And she says, today that I, was very supportive at the time, but I did put her at the back burner because I still was running the business, right? And realizing that all those years of her telling me that she was the mistress, I realized what she meant, right? Because she was going through a hard time, and I didn't really have the empathy to see what she was going through because I was so focused and fixated on, running my company. Even though I had plenty of staff here to do it, but I still wanted to be a part. Like I had a full team, probably 50 employees at that time that was operating my business, but I still wanted to be a part of every department, every facet of the company, just to ensure that it was being done the way I wanted to get done.
And you're saying her mom was in hospice and then she passed
Yeah,
away,
for
and
about
that was
three
a
months
pretty
she was on
moment.
hospice. Yes, 3 months. So there was a time where she was staying with her mom, living with her mom. I was obviously taking care of the kids, taking care of our kids, ensuring that she was taking care of her mom. And it was like, there were some point parts where, luckily for my network of people that I talked to on a regular basis helped me get through it. But there was a time where I felt kind of like jealous, even though here's her mom on her deathbed ill, she's taking care of her. Like there was a point where like I needed help from her to be at home because I couldn't take care of the kids and work. And there was a time that I realized that I was being very selfish, and I felt that I was being very selfish.
I want to share I had one of those moments too. It just sounds so crazy now, but my wife's dad passed away and we were actually on vacation. But, maybe you're like me. Sometimes you have a hard time taking a vacation and actually taking time off. So I was working on trade show stuff in Mexico and I was actually frustrated and I expressed real frustration with my wife, even though her dad had just passed and she was on vacation. and I was like frustrated with her and we got in a fight and she was like, "Are you kidding me? Like literally this just happened 5 days ago. And you're basically I was like kind of insinuating that she needed to get over it." And I think natural problem solver dudes are
exactly. Like we want the solution. We want a solution. We don't find it now. Yeah.
I wanted to fix it and I couldn't just empathize and just let her mourn. And so that was a low point for me in particular, as far as just not being present with negative emotions. Cause I just positive attitude, right? Like I want to do all that and it's just different and it's hard. Some things it's not going to help. It doesn't matter how positive the attitude. There's certain things where you just got to let that happen and let it happen. And so I relate and I struggled to I'm trying to become a better person.
Same.
From that.
Same. And the one thing that I think I got a lot of help from, I had a lot of men in my life, especially my spiritual network, that I was able to talk to, because there was a lot of things that I wanted to talk to her at the time when her mom was going through this, that they told me wasn't best to talk to her about. And so I would actually use my network to address those feelings and those emotions that I wanted to express to her, because it really wasn't a good time to say that, even though I wanted to fix it and I wanted to find a solution, but it was her process. And by doing so, I think even though it was a hard time for my wife and what occurred, after that, we've gotten more closer in our relationship, in our marriage, and as a couple than we ever have, and I've seen that.
You said you were working about 70 hours a week. Yes. Are you still working that amount or are you working less? No. Okay. And really what as that, you kind of had these low moments around that time, what are some of the major improvements that you made and how much what are you doing per week now as far as hours?
Yeah. So I started learning to make decisions based on numbers. So I did hire a consultant, and that consultant, basically said as an owner, I don't need to be in the grips of it. I don't need to micromanage. I have a team. That's why I have managers, and those managers need to report to me. So we created an org chart.
Do you want to shout out who the consultant was? Is it somebody in the roofing space?
Yeah. So at the time it was, the guys at the Top Rep Contractor Coach Pro.
Yeah.
That's the one I started realizing that, I want to, be an owner and have my team, handle those type of matters. I was fixating on process of production, wrong orders, doing things complaints with customers. I was trying to handle all that too. And I have a team that can do that. And I just had to allow them to go through their process and tell you the truth. Some of the stuff, I don't even want to hear about it, unless somebody's dying, somebody got injured, hurt, I'm getting sued, or our house is on fire. Really, it's not that important. Just, I think I make these decisions now based on the numbers. So Contractor Coach Pro helped me get through a lot of the reports, the standard operating procedures. I created that for the team, a step-by-step process that was also done. So each department has their own step-by-step. As soon as the birth of the job, which is the lead, to the death of the job, which is the completion of that job, when their COCs turned in, the final permits are completed, I have a process for all that, and each department knows who handles what. So even the production team knows what happens when a lead comes in, because we share that all with each person of our organization.
And like, so it's not just like, oh, okay, I'm going to step away and then I'm going to have faith in my people. It's like, I'm going to dive deeper in for a while to get these
Yes.
processes down, and then I can
Then I
step
can
out.
start.
So
Yes.
it's not like you just pull the switch. You had to go through this kind of painful transformation of actually getting standard
Oh yes, it
operating
was tough. Yeah,
procedures.
it's still tough. It still is. Sometimes I catch myself, getting involved in certain things or answering questions really where they shouldn't even be coming to me for that. They should be, going to their
Yeah.
superiors and asking them first.
Yes, I heard it say, like, you heard it said that you do not want to be the problem solver in your business.
No.
If somebody comes to you a question, ask them a question
Yes.
back, keep them on it, and don't let somebody come into your office with a monkey on their back and give their
No, what's
monkey to
the
you.
solution? Yeah, exactly. If they come with a monkey on their back, it's like, okay, what is the solution? What answer do you have for that? Let them problem solve it.
And you said that this is also helping you do more of what you
What I
enjoy
enjoy, yes,
today in the business.
yes.
That's awesome. Talk to me about that. What are you enjoying about the business right now? What do you feel like you're growing in a way that's going to help?
Yeah, so as
Uh,
a entrepreneur and wanting to own a business, it was at first it was all about the money, right? We get into business, we own a business, we start a company, we want to make the money, and that is nice, right? Nice to have financial freedom. But the biggest freedom that I get from owning a business and being the owner is the freedom to be able to live and enjoy the things that I enjoy doing personally. Like I get to do things beyond my wildest dreams, and it's not like going on lavish trips and all that, but it's able to like have a lifestyle. Like I enjoy the gym. I enjoy spending more time at home. I have basically a farm at my house. We got pigs. I got my dogs. Got all my property that I like to attend to. And I'm able to like do just kind of have the freedom of being able to like do the little things that I enjoy doing, and also at the same time be able to have a little bit of financial ability to do that by having a business. But I put a lot of my funds that in return to the business, so I can grow the business each day. And I don't know. I just know that when I realized that I'm not going to work 70 hours, I didn't open up Greentek to be a slave and work 60, 70 hours. I did this to have the freedom with my family. That's what I started realizing, and that's putting the right people in place to allow me to do that.
yeah, because a lot of people get into business to have more freedom, and then this whole idea of no one does it like me is not freedom. it's it's the exact. It basically leads to the exact opposite of freedom. Especially if you're growing. Like, so in that case, if no one does it like you and you're growing, it's almost more. It's like 70 hours is a light week for some people in that situation because they have to do. They're you're aggressively growing, but you just can't give anything up.
Correct.
And it's like, no offense, like I struggle with this too, John. So I'm not shaming. Like, obviously, you're growing in this area. I feel like I still deal with it sometimes. It just feels like it's not fun.
Mm.
It's not
Yeah, there's a
fun.
lot of things too.
So
Like,
like,
and I realized too, like I was doing things that I hated doing. I would a part of the business, right? Like, and I realize that there are other people in my company that do it a lot better than I can, right? In certain things, and they enjoy doing the things that I hate doing. So now I
yeah,
hire the people that enjoy doing the things that I hate doing, and maybe start doing the things that I like doing. A part of the business, like the content creation that we talked about, being able to actually come up with ideas to brand the company with myself. Like I'm starting to realize that maybe that I see you all the time out on Facebook and going to these conventions, and you're branding your company. Like you have a full team. I see that, right? They're doing their job,
yep.
but you're out there promoting, and that's kind of what I want to do. Like I enjoy that.
This is a subscription to knowledge, the most in-depth knowledge that you can find in our industry. We're spending the money to make sure that our production value is so high that you'll actually absorb the information and feel like you're getting something premium at the Building Experts Institute.
Yeah, and a lot of the stuff, so I'll just to step into that a little bit because I know that's interesting to you. A lot of that stuff is like, it's a mixture, right? I'm creating the content, but I'm creating the content while I'm mingling with referral partners.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of my move, is like, let's create content. Let's get around high performers that I want to be like as human beings as well. Like, I like hanging out with people that sell a lot and are nice humans, you know, and I like being around business owners that are crushing it and are fucking cool. Cause like, and that matters to me. Like, I don't just want to make money. I want to be a better, I'm trying to be a better person, and it's hard enough. Like, so if I don't think they'll see this, but I was like, there's like a big salesperson that I was going to go hang out with recently. And like, I realized I didn't want to be like them. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to make the time, even though they're a really big salesperson and they got a lot. I just decided not to, because I don't know. I don't know if you're like this, but it's like, I'm going to make money no matter what.
Yes.
John, you know what I mean? You're going to make money no matter what. Like, and a lot of the people watching the show, you're going to do well.
Yeah.
You're good. Like, you're going to do well. If you're worrying about turning from a micromanager into a numbers oriented leader, and you're spending the time on this, you're probably winning, and you're probably going to keep on winning and win more. So it's like, I don't just want more money. I want to be a good person, and I want to like actually be a better husband and dad and stuff. So, so basically, to me, content creation is that. It's like, I'm going to create a video. I'm going to make a YouTube video about it. And I get to do this on podcasts too. It's been the best part about my job. I love it. I
see the excitement. I see the enthusiasm. I see you on it, and it is exciting to see that. And do you feel like you're more of it? I felt like I've always been an introvert. Like, I'm a guy that, you know, like, I enjoy just hanging out with my family. I don't have many friends. Very selective. I'm not one to go out to bars or clubs. Like, if it's a big crowded area, I'm that one that will, like, my cup will get empty and I just need to leave sooner. Like, parties are not my thing. So how do you see yourself when you go out there? Do you feel like you enjoy that part, or do you?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I believe in introverts, extroverts.
Okay.
I do understand what you're saying about being recharged, or I'm recharged alone. And then when I'm like doing this, or I'm with a bunch of people or whatever, I need to take time away, and like, just otherwise I go insane. Like, I don't want to sit there talking to, and I was always that guy who back in the day when I partied, I didn't want to go to the house party with 100 people. I wanted to go to the spot with like 8 people.
I'm the same way.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
And so like, I'd rather have a tighter group. And then like, I don't, this is my, John, this may seem sad or weird or anything like that, but this is my friendships, is like business and entrepreneurship stuff. And frankly, I've kind of neglected some of those old friendships that, you know, there's back in the day, a lot of my friendships revolved around partying. I am, part of a group of people who get together and talk about substances
that I'm the same.
in recovery. So I am that guy. But I could see if somebody called me an introvert, I could definitely see what they're saying. And if somebody called me an extrovert, I could see what they're saying. But the content creation thing, it's like, it starts for me as completely just practical because one, I get to be around people that I want to be like, I get to learn, and then I get to network with people that could refer my business, and I get to then create a piece of content. And I will say, like, I like video editing. I like the process of like coming up with, why did that video? Because we just put out a video like 48 hours ago on my channel or whatever that got like 700, 800 views or whatever real quick. And it was like, why did that one go so hard? You know what I mean? Like, that's really good for us. And it's a plumbing sales training, because I was out watching some guy.
That video,
It's pretty fucking good. Like, but like, what is about these? And that was me. I edited that video in 2 hours. So I love that stuff. And I love learning about like, what can I do? And I've learned a lot from like Dimitri, where he's like, it's almost like you feel like somebody could, or no, actually Mr. Beast does this, where it's like almost like the whole video is like an intro. Like the whole, they keep you, you know,
attention.
Keeps on. You keep watching. You're like, is this like, this is like hype thing? And you're like 2 minutes, 3 minutes into the video, and it's like, wow, like the whole thing is hype. You know what I mean? And so I'm trying to learn from content create, like how to do content creation. That part is topic choosing is a big piece. How to choose a topic that people actually care about, and then how do I keep people on it? And then how do I visually present it? So it's like the thumbnail is the visual presentation. The topic is like the keyword and the title. And then the how can I keep people watching is like how to make content where somebody's actually going to keep sitting there and watching it. And that is part of the reason I sometimes interrupt on my show. Because I'm trying to make sure there's a nugget there and there's a novelty there. There's like a novelty. And I will say that is another reason why I sometimes say things on my show that are just too fucking honest. Yeah. And every once in a while, people are listening like, whoa, Tim just said that. It's like, I'd rather do that because I want to.
People will give the authenticity of it. And, you know, in my opinion, I agree. Like I'll watch a video where I can see there's some true authentic behaviors of a person. I would rather listen to that, and even if I disagree with what you're saying, I still will rather hear that and be able to watch that and actually be entertained than somebody that's just talking just straight business.
So yeah, exactly. And I am trying to entertain, not just educate, because I think it's very easy to educate, John. Like everyone, you could just go out on like a roofing job and educate, but show, don't tell. And dude, the plumbing guy that I just followed, like he's an HVAC sales guy, but he was at a plumbing company. He said, the bigger the show, the bigger the dough, right? The bigger the show, the bigger the dough. And that's demonstrate, don't just tell, right? Demonstrate, don't just tell. And then I think it's just be out there on jobs. You know what I mean? So John, as much as you're creating, you're getting into this content stuff, like get into it with like, look at stuff and demonstrate as much as you can. Like people love tool videos. People love problem videos. Like that's one reason why I wanted you to tell a story about this like crisis a little bit that led to the precipitation of your change in your life, because people, and I just say document, don't create. So that's a Gary Vee thing. Document, don't create, because create would mean that everything was polished. Document means I'm going to show behind, like a little bit more behind the scenes. Sure. So as much as you can create some behind the scenes vibe to the content, it's going to get people watching.
Like show it. Like don't just like hide everything, the cleanliness of the company, like all the prettiness and, you know, the logos and the trucks all night, like show like actually what's actually happening into the company, the processes. Our guys, you know, loading up from the vans to go out and do the work at 7 a.m. in the morning to, you know, the time they finish, like just kind of show that the dirty nitty gritty stuff.
Exactly. And then show the problems that like that you're solving too. So that's like go early. Like if there's a big leak and it's catastrophic or a bigger problem on a job, or like before you're there, if you could show that more too, you know, and I want to get back a little bit into because I love this topic of micromanager to numbers oriented leader, because people think they're doing their company a big service by being so involved. They think they're doing the right thing. It feels like that, but then like, if it's numbers oriented leader, sometimes back in the day when we were talking about doing remote work, you know, during COVID and stuff like that, I did really like this mode of management. It's called results only work environment, ROWE, because like it is distracting sometimes to look at all the little details of how something is getting done. But results only work environment is like, the number is good.
And what
Thank
happens
you.
is too, because, we all make emotional decisions, correct? That's how humans work, especially when you're running a business. Whether you feel sorry for that person or you're, or you're maybe upset and you make an emotional decision, a rational decision. So, emotions can definitely play a big part. And seeing numbers, and making decisions based on that, it takes the emotional out of it, right? Like if you have procedures and you have processes and something is being affected, then it's like, what do you need to do? And I'm going to make a decision. Like if this person is not hitting their goals, and you can see this past quarter, he hasn't really touched his goals, he or she, then of course we need to make a decision right now. And that process is, we may have to let this person go. And I'm not basing off of who that person is or how she is, or, if she's nice or she is in any type of trouble. Like I'm making a decision based on business and based on the numbers. And so that has allowed me to make better choices instead of emotion.
I love it. So we talked about policies and procedures. I know that before we chatted about core values. So how does core values make it more likely that you can zoom out? Like, why does that help you?
Yeah, so a core value is the heartbeat of the company, right? That is from the receptionists to the managers to the roof consultants to our production team, our repair techs, even our crews that are building the roofs. Our core values are the breath of the company. Like we want each individual meet our core values. Integrity, grit, mindfulness, like we're working for each other, we're a team player. So as long as they follow those rules, and we actually have team meetings where we actually build up on our core values to make sure everybody understands. And then we touch on their weakness of which core value is their weakness, because we all have that one core value that is our weakness, and we help each other kind of make that our stronger core value. And if they're breaking our core value, if they go against our core value, they're just not meant for the company. Like maybe there's another company out there, and I learned this from Contractor Coach Pro, is if they don't meet our core values, I mean, there's another company that does meet their core values, and that person belongs to them.
Hey guys, this is Bruce by Don, and when dealing with insurance companies, you definitely need an expert by your side. So if you need someone to walk in, hold your hands throughout the insurance process, not really, Max. Deal with the experts, supplement experts.
You can hold my hand.
Have you ever had to fire somebody where the metrics were good, but the core values were off?
Yes, I have.
Talk to me about that.
So we had a
situation.
guy who was producing probably $1.5 million, $2 million, great salesman. However, he was very mindful of others. He was very rude to the other teams. He was very negative. He was almost becoming a cancer, and I don't like that word cancer. But he was becoming a negative part of the company just by how he treated others. And he was a great producer, great gross profit margins, great seller. He built value. However, we just couldn't have a team member treat others and make others feel the way they were feeling. And I witnessed it, firsthand. And so once we let that person go, which was tough because, we're now here, we are going to lose $2 million in revenue. Actually, the team grew better. The team became closer. We were actually able to hit numbers stronger that year. So, and that was a tough decision to make. And I can say it was the best decision.
I would love if you have any other tactical stuff, since we're talking about this micromanagement topic. Do you have any other specific ways that you were able to stop micromanaging? Like anything else that was helpful to you?
To help me stop? Well, the best way I could put it is I had to rely on my manager, like my trustworthy, generals here in the company, that to point out when I was micromanaging and basically feel comfortable to get their criticism. And I would speak to them, like they would come to me and tell me like when I'm kind of putting myself too much involved in certain things. And I knew they were coming from a place of, not rationalizing. They were being, in a place of love. Like they were like, hey, you're going outside of what you committed to. And then I would sit down, analyze it, and realize they were correct. But it took time, and it took very long time for me to understand where like I had to like let things go and it was going to be okay. And here we are 2 years later and we're doing greater. Like we went from running 12 million in 2022 to doing 13, a little over 13 million in 2023. And here we are growing. We're already at 2.3 for the year. So something's happening. And, and I'm not part of all the scenes. I'm kind of here in the background just watching the numbers.
Well, that's a great testament. That's a great testament. I love talking about this topic of no one can do it like me, micromanagement. It's an overwhelming feeling, and you definitely have to go through it, right, John? Like you couldn't have skipped to this step.
No.
You had to get into a spot where you were just obsessively working on the business and probably, where does that feeling come from? It comes from having bad employees. And you usually have to go through a bunch of bad or okay employees before you get to your real squad. And like, no offense, I wouldn't be able to hire all these people or even like my 5 middle of the road people on this team that I've got the first 3 years of my business. Like I couldn't afford any of them. You know what I mean? So we have to kind of get by with what we get by with for a while.
Yeah.
But then as time goes on, you start to find what your core values are, what you find who your real people are.
Who the real people are, the ones that you can really rely on. And loyalty is big for me. Everybody knows loyalty is huge. So that's one of our kind of core values is just having that loyalty. And the more, and I have some loyal people that will, risk everything of their own just to, support Greentek. And that's an amazing feeling. Like, they will go to the end of the earth for Greentek, and I can tell you that because I've witnessed it.
Why can let me be this? Let this be the last question. Excuse me. Why do you think that is? Why do you think you've got the loyalty of your people? And
I think people... for me, it was they seen the work that I put into it. They seen the basically the integrity that I give. Like if I say I was going to do something for them, I did it. I ensured, that if something went wrong, like I had their back, like I was always there for the team, no matter what. Like I didn't look at them as just a number, an employee ID. I looked at them for a human being, and I know their families, who they are. Like I know their personal stuff, that I tried to not get too much involved, but I know who they are, and I have a little bit of empathy. And I think once they realize that and they've seen the amount of just joy that I put into them, because like I said, I'm a spiritual kind of guy. Like and I believe in physical activity, spiritual, and mental. And so a lot of my team, we have, so many types of like yoga we have on Wednesdays. We have team outings. I put so much effort into them. And if they struggle in any type of substance, I've helped them. I put guys to rehab. I had guys that used to be homeless that aren't homeless anymore. They're, driving a nice sports car and big trucks. And I watched their growth and I kind of like led them and, I became a leader and showed them how they could live a different way of life. I don't know. I just think by doing that, I think God puts people in your life that, that really truly want, better for all. I'm not sure why sometimes I wonder, sometimes I question myself, like, why do my team stay the way they do? Why are they loyal? I don't know. I just try to do the next right thing. And as long as I know that I did the right thing and I go to bed at night knowing that we did the right thing, I don't know. I think the universe pays it for it.
Absolutely, man. Well, that's touching. And I want to be more like that. I want to be a leader that my people love. And I want to love my people. I think it probably comes down to loving your people. You probably love some of those people.
No, I do.
Really, really care about them and you want the best for them. And I think that that's beautiful. And I think more people can take that. Well, just take some inspiration from that, because it's hard to do sometimes as a leader, especially when you want a result and things are tough, but that's always going to be part of it. And you kind of got to love through that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for joining.
Yeah,
where can people check out and where could people maybe contact you?
Yeah, so if you want to reach out, I do have my Facebook. Obviously, they can reach out to me. We are hiring sales reps, so it's the beginning of the year. We like to bring in. We're going to try to, increase our roof consultants by 5. So we are doing that. But Facebook, John Franco. Instagram's big. That's John.Franco84. They can find me on there. So.
And what's your .com?
Greentek, TEK, P as in Paul, S as in Sam.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on, man. It was a pleasure. I feel like I've learned a ton. I love this framing of this topic as micromanagement versus.
Yeah, it's the way to freedom. I can tell you, any owner is the way to freedom. That's the truth.
Yes. Let's go. Let's get there, y'all. And I appreciate everyone for watching and listening. Please like the video, comment, subscribe, rate and review the podcast if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, because that's how we get higher in the ranking and everything. As we're about to hit 300 episodes of this podcast, and that is insane and super cool. And if you've gotten something out of these podcasts, it would mean the world to me if you'd rate and review on iTunes or Spotify. So thank you, everyone, and have an amazing day.